Hi, second graders. We are going to do some science today. Right now, I want you to go find your brassica plant and your plant and insect notebook for May. So find those materials and then come on back and press play. Okay, so hopefully you have your materials now. So we are going to be observing our brassica plant. Our focus question today is, how has your plant changed? So this will be the first time we are looking at it since Monday. How has it grown? What do you notice is different from when you looked at it earlier this week compared to today? I told you earlier in the week that this science unit is really all about observation and noticing the different life cycles of plants and insects. Let's review some important vocabulary for plants. A seedling. A seedling is a baby plant, also called a sprout. A sprout is the first tiny plant from the seed. So on Monday, you probably saw a seedling or a sprout in your cup. You also may have noticed a bud starting this week, which is the location on stems where new leaves and new stems grow from. So take a look at your brassica plant. Do you see a spot where you see the stem growing or maybe new leaves emerging? That is a bud. Many of your brassica plants might now have leaves on them. A leaf is a plant structure that captures light to produce food. So, second graders, that is why I have been asking you to keep your brassica plant near a window so that it can have ample sunlight. The sunlight is what helps the plant grow. It gives the plant food through photosynthesis. And lastly, a stem. The stem is a plant structure that holds up and supports the plant. I know some of them are getting a little top heavy and might be falling over, but that stem will grow stronger to hold up the plant. Here is an example of how my plant has changed over the last few days. So remember, our focus question is, how has your plant changed? You can see in the first picture, this was actually from last Friday, so 1 week ago, my brassica plant was just starting to sprout. It was a seedling. And here on the right, you can see now I have all 3 of my brassica seeds have sprouted, and they are growing towards the light. They are growing out towards the window. Let's take a closer look at my current brassica plant. So you can notice the stems and the leaves. So there is the stem, there is the leaf. The leaves are there to collect the sunlight to use as food for the plant. And you can really tell it has grown a lot in a week. I think yours have as well. So now you are going to observe your planter. What has changed since your last observation? Take a look back in your observation notebook and see what you wrote and drew on Monday. How has it changed since Monday? What colors do you see on your brassica plants now? How tall is your brassica plant? Making careful observations to see how your plant has changed. We're going to think about stems and leaves today. Those are probably the structures that you can see from your plant. Where do the leaves grow? And are they all the same? Right now, most of my leaves look the same, but we're going to keep an eye out and see if some of the leaves start to look different. Right now, if I look at my screen, the leaves that are at the bottom of the plant, where my pointer is, those look most similar to the leaves on my current brassica plant. The leaves that are growing larger and higher up, those leaves have a different shape than the leaves I see currently on my plant. So we are going to take a careful look at the different types of leaves that are growing on our brassica plant. We might not see them yet, but we want to be prepared for when we do see different leaves growing. Are all of your brassica plants the same size? They might be. Mine are not. I know this because when they started to sprout, I only had 2 sprout at first, and my third one took a while longer. So my third plant is smaller than the other 2. Now that you've had a chance to observe your brassica plant, you are going to answer this focus question. How has your plant changed? You're going to write your answer in your science notebook and include a detailed drawing. That includes labeling the different plant structures of your brassica plant, like I did, labeling your stem and your leaves. What ways can you describe how your plant has changed? Well, you could measure it. You could measure and keep track of how tall your brassica plant is today. Make a note of it in your notebook. Ask yourself, are all of my brassica plants the same height? I know mine aren't. Are yours? What colors do you see on your brassica plant? And how many leaves does it have? How many leaves do each of your brassica plants have? That might be important to note as we move forward and continue to observe. You will use this page in your science notebook. I know at the top it says insect record, but we will change the title to say plant record. Now you're going to probably need to use the entire page because you will need to include a detailed drawing with labels of your current brassica plant and describing all of the ways that your plant has changed since you observed it on Monday. So really taking up most of the room on that page to give a detailed scientific description of your brassica plant. After you have finished, you will take a picture of your record sheet and upload it to this green box. If your camera is not working, and only if your camera is not working, you can type your responses on this final slide, but I really would like you to try to get your camera to work. That way I can see your detailed drawing of your brassica. All right, and second graders, this is just a reminder about your mealworms. Check on them, see how they're doing, make sure that their habitat is good for the weekend, that it's not moldy, that it has plenty of bran, and check to see how your mealworm is. Is it turning into a pupa? If it is a pupa, you can always sketch a picture of it in your April plant and insect notebook, because we want to keep track of what your mealworm is looking like. So remember, lots of observing, lots of waiting. Thank you for being patient. All right, have a great weekend, second graders.